The Vaile Mansion is one of the most photographed Second Empire houses in the United States, but have you ever wondered what it looks like inside? Today we're taking a quick look at the man who built it, then going on a rare tour through its perfectly preserved interiors. Hi everyone, Ken here. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. The man who built it, Harvey Merrick Vaile, was born in Vermont in 1831 and was very much a self-made man. The kind who had to save up his own money for a law degree before setting out to make his fortune. He practiced law in Indianapolis, wrote fiery opinion pieces for the local papers, and then, in 1859, headed west to Kansas City, where he threw himself into one business venture after another. The real money came from the frontier mail. Vaile became part owner of a star route operation that carried letters and parcels by stagecoach and wagon across the wild country between Missouri and New Mexico, a lucrative business that helped him amass more than 2,000 acres of orchards, vineyards, farmland, and cattle. By the time he and his wife Sophia decided to build a home worthy of their success, Harvey Vaile was one of the wealthiest and most prominent men in Jackson County, Missouri. To design that home, Vaile turned to the celebrated Kansas City architect A.B. Cross, and the two of them dreamed up something the likes of which the region had never seen. Completed in 1881 at a cost around $150,000, the mansion was built in the flamboyant Second Empire style, its design supposedly inspired by a grand house the Vailes had admired on a trip to Normandy, France. Rising from hand-pressed red brick made right there on the property, and trimmed with white limestone, the symmetrical facade soars upward rather than outward, its verticality accentuated by tall, narrow windows that seem to stretch toward the sky. At its heart stands a great central tower crowned with a double mansard roof and a cupola, pushing the whole structure well over 100 feet into the air, while the multicolored slate roof bristles with ornate woodwork, iron cresting, bracketed cornices, and metal finials. In its day, the house sat within some 630 acres of landscape grounds, complete with fountains, a greenhouse, a spring-fed lake, and gas lamps to light the paths at night. Stepping through the massive front doors, visitors pass into a vestibule fitted with original frosted and cut glass panels, and then into a grand hall running some 40 feet through the house. Here the eye is immediately drawn to the solid black walnut staircase carved in the East Lake and Gothic manner, which climbs upward through the heart of the home and is capped far above by a skylight that pours natural light down the stairwell. To one side opens the gentleman's parlor, sometimes called the drawing room, a richly appointed space with soaring ceilings and enormous windows, repainted today in its original deep green. This is the room where Harvey Vaile would have held court with his guest, and its crystal chandelier is said to be one of a matched pair originally intended for the White House, which Vaile was able to buy at a bargain while in Washington because of some small flaw in them. Across the hall lies the ladies' parlor, the most formal room in the house, where Sophia would have received her lady callers in high style. It boasts the most expensive mantel in the mansion, hand-carved from snow-white Carrara marble with onyx pillars that glow warmly in the light of the fire. Tucked nearby is the red parlor, the smallest and most intimate of the sitting rooms, decorated in a warm red theme and separated from the ladies' parlor by original pocket doors, the cozy retreat where the family gathered when no guests were expected. From the formal rooms, the house flows into the music room, one of the liveliest spaces in the household, warmed by a Vermont marble fireplace and filled with the sounds of a grand piano and a music box. We can imagine the family gathering here long into the evenings, enjoying live music in perhaps the most sophisticated setting within 100 miles of the quickly growing Kansas City. It was a place made for entertaining, and it leads naturally onward into the dining room, where guests dine beneath one of the mansion's most charming surprises, a painted ceiling depicting the estate's own grounds, its pond, boathouse, and greenhouses rendered overhead like a window onto the world outside. Upstairs, off the second-floor landing, sits the library, the quiet room where Harvey Vaile did much of his work when he was home, lined with carved wooden bookcases and cabinets that survive from the original house. The Vailes' bedroom holds the mansion's most notorious feature. On the ceiling, directly above the bed, an Italian artist painted a reclining woman, a mural known as Innocence, originally depicting her bare from the waist up. As the story goes, that artist demanded $1,500 and free run of the Vaile wine cellar for his work, and the finished painting scandalized proper independent society, because even after a filmy covering was added to the figure, whispers that it might portray Sophia herself followed her for the rest of her days. Just off the bedrooms are the bathrooms, and they were marvels of their moment. The Vaile Mansion was the first house in Jackson County with indoor plumbing. Sophia's own bathroom held a gleaming copper-lined bathtub with hot and cold running water, an almost unimaginable luxury for 1881. The Vaile's happiness in their showplace was tragically brief. Harvey was soon swept up in the notorious Starroot scandal that rocked the Postal Service. And though he was tried twice, in 1882 and 1883, and acquitted both times, the ordeal drained him. And while he was away in Washington, his wife Sophia, ailing with stomach cancer and shunned by society, was found lifeless at home in February of 1883 from consuming too much laudanum. Harvey never remarried and passed away in 1894, and the couple, who had no children, were laid to rest together in a mausoleum in Woodlawn Cemetery that Asa Cross designed to echo the mansion itself. Because the Vailes left no direct heirs, the estate fell into a tangle of legal disputes that dragged on for years, and most of the mansion's original furnishings were sold off at auction. In the decades that followed, the great house led many lives, serving in turn as an inn, a private asylum, a mineral water bottling operation, and for many years a sanitarium and then a nursing home. By the mid-20th century, it had fallen into disrepair and faced the threat of demolition, until Roger and Mary Mildred DeWitt purchased it and began its rescue. In 1983, Mrs. DeWitt donated the mansion to the City of Independence, and that same year, the Vaile Victorian Society was formed to restore and care for it. Today, the mansion stands beautifully preserved as a house museum. The Vaile Mansion has now stood for well over a century, a Gilded Age dream in brick and slate that outlived the fortune that raised it and tragedy that haunted it. And it endures as one of the finest examples of Second Empire architecture in the country. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. Which room was your favorite? Let me know down below in the comments section, and while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.